So I'm not sure if I should like hold my hand over my face so that you can't see my horrible cold sores, or like just pretend they're not there. This has been a really stressful week, and I'm just resting upstairs in the sleeping loft because it just feels really nice and cozy, and it's really warm in here now. Hey Dutch, keeping it Dutch is on. We're getting ready to go to Oklahoma. Yes. But we've been at my mom's the last 3 nights because while we were testing the rocket mass heater with the bench, that we were having problems with smoke. And so we've been sleeping at my mom's, haven't been here, and it wasn't until we weren't here for a few days that I realized how much I love it and how cozy and safe I feel here. And also this situation has a lot to do with me not being home. Usually I cook things from scratch, and when I deviate very much, I have allergic reactions to food. And even though I was in a safe place at my mom's, I did get into some things I should have. We thought maybe I would have to go to the hospital because it was awful. She had some medicine that fixed me up, but we had a scary half hour where we were trying to figure out if I was going to the hospital. So that's one of the reasons I just am such a homebody. I have to be so careful about what I eat. So I'm sitting here, or laying here in my loft, and just kind of absorbing the heat. The rocket mass heater right now is actually what's keeping me warm. And so the question might be, why am I not showing more of the rocket mass heater at this point? And the reason is because at this point it's taking too long for the fire to start. Hey everybody. Ashley Ross said, do you have any secrets on how to make food from scratch that doesn't take all day? Yes, a lot of it has to do with the freezer, being able to pre-make things and then in large batches and then putting it in a freezer. Yes, there's lots of ways to do that. Right now, a lot of what we're eating is Asian-inspired food. Very fresh, very healthy. We eat a lot of yogurts for breakfast. Jess R said she loves my hat. This one was made by Lori Family Homestead. It's fantastic, isn't it? So the rocket mass heater is currently working, but we have a different heat riser on it than the original that Darwin put together. So that one, the heat riser was made out of aircrete with water glass, and it just worked really well. But when we were trying to get the bench put together, I had picked it up the wrong way, and I didn't actually drop it. What happened was that the caulk in one spot gave way. The caulk gave way when I picked it up, and it actually dropped out because the caulk gave way. And so we've been playing with 2 other heat risers, hoping and praying that we could get everything to work so that I could stay a little bit longer and play with it and show it off. And so what happened was the one that I have in there now is all metal. And because of the air ports and the way that Darwin put it together, even with the all metal heat riser, the heat riser is not melting, it's working. But in order for it to work, you have to have a solid bed of coals in place in order for the chimney to be hot enough to be able to suck the air outside. And so today I've been fighting with it all day. It's not the original heat riser, it's a different heat riser, and 2 hours later I have a good bed of coals, and now it's pulling strongly, and my house is super warm and nice and cozy. And so it makes me really sad to leave now instead of experimenting more. I'm such an experimenter. I just want to stay and make the stove work. I want it to work in the bench. I want to be able to have time to put the right heat riser in. Jeffrey Bayer said, why do you use a rocket mass heater? Let's see. Why use a rocket mass heater instead of a high efficiency wood stove? I do have a high efficiency wood stove, but it's enormous. I have a wood cook stove that's very efficient, but for one thing, the draft on it needs to be very long. You need a really nice long draft on it for it to work efficiently. And the other thing is it's so big that it would absolutely bake us out of the house every single time we used it. So the rocket mass heater, the purpose of it was that you burn it hot a couple times a day, and the heat is absorbed into the bench, and then over the course of the day the heat is released from the bench, which keeps you at a more normal temperature, and especially at night it keeps you at cooler temperatures without being too cold. And so that was the reason for the rocket mass heater. So I feel really gratified that right now the stove is working, that I'm super warm. It's the first time the house has been warm in 2 days while we've been playing with everything. Let's see, the Have More Farm. What did you say, Carney? Let honey do experiment over the winter and get it right, then reinstall for next year. And that's what we're thinking right now, is that the week that we had the rocket mass heater and we had it installed, it was working very, very well. I didn't need to have it burning at night. The only problem is the restart. Getting the chimney warm again makes a huge difference in whether or not the stove is working. The stove works fantastically when it's warm, but when it's cold, it has so many, like it has up and down and up and down and up and down piping that it has to go through in order to flue correctly, and so in order to draft correctly. And so because of that, it works fantastically once it's started and it's warm, whereas with the wood stove it only has to go up and out, and a rocket mass heater it has to go up, and so until it hits a certain temperature it doesn't want to work. So we have smoke coming out the front because we're working on although I will say that when it took me minutes with the correct heat riser, whereas with this one it really did take 2 hours and I had to have the windows open. The heat riser makes a huge difference. The ratios make a difference. So let's see what anybody else said. Let's see. Yeah, Willow Creek Homestead said the colder it gets, it makes it harder for the pole to work. Exactly. So the problem was not with the stove, but with the fact that it would get too warm up here in the sleeping lofts. The sleeping lofts just got too warm at night if I had the stove on, even with the windows open. And so what I was doing was I was letting the fire die at night, and then I would restart it in the morning, but it took forever to get the fire restarted enough that it would pull right in the mornings after a cold, because the chimney would still be warm, but not warm enough to really take off and roar. It would be a fire, but it wouldn't be as efficient. There would be more smoke. And what we're aiming for is a more efficient stove, and to burn less wood, and also to have there be less emissions. And so it's not that it isn't working. It is working, but I want it to work faster because I really want to be able to say, look guys, it totally worked. The bench totally worked. So Darwin's totally going to get it fixed, but I want to be here when it gets fixed. I want to be here when it gets fixed. I see that I'm struggling a lot with leaving the house. As unfinished as it is, as unfinished and unpolished as it is, I'm having a hard time leaving the house. I have it so cozy. I have my little nest up here. I have, we all sleep really, really well up in the lofts. It's fun to get up in the morning and cook breakfast with the girls, and I love a wood stove. And we won't have a wood stove in Oklahoma. We're going to be using propane heat in Oklahoma, and I just really love having wood heat. So it is so cozy. It is. No Budget Homestead said it looks cozy. It is so cozy. But John is in Oklahoma, and he's getting kind of depressed without us. He's going to coffee shops and hanging out because he's lonely. And he's spending every waking minute that he can at school because there's nobody at home to talk to, and we miss him. And I feel like if I had, the new house is 500 square feet. And that's bigger than what we have now. But it's not as cozy. It doesn't have as many personal touches. And I feel a little bit like a duck out of water in transitioning. I just really feel that way. I'm really struggling with it. I look at my goats, and everybody's bred now, and I look at my goats and I am just a little sad to leave them. And we don't have any chickens, we don't have any rabbits right now. And I shouldn't have come up to my loft, because this is the part that I miss the most, is that at nighttime the girls and I come up here and we cuddle, and maybe this isn't the part I miss most. At night, we're downstairs and one of the girls is in the hammock. We're reading stories by candlelight. I might be knitting. The wood is in the fire and crackling, and we just had dinner and we just cleaned up, and we're about to go to bed, and it's all so cozy and cuddly, and there's no electricity, and I'm just struggling. I'm really just struggling. Let's see. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not anything but just the transition is hard. So Oakley Homestead said, try burning cardboard or paper first to get the pipe warmed up. So it's one of the reasons we had to take the stove apart. What happened was the stove was working really efficiently, as long as I kept coals in it. And then I had a cold start one day where instead of using some wax and kindling, I used paper. And what happened was that the paper got sucked up the J tube. It got sucked up into the stove. Because the pull was so strong, there was so much force for that air going up the chimney that it actually sucked the paper up. And shortly after that, the stove stopped working. It just wouldn't heat up. It wouldn't heat up and it wouldn't heat up, and then we started to have problems with smoke. And what ended up happening when we took it apart, because the bench was ready, but we also wanted to take it apart because it wasn't working right. And what ended up happening was that suction is so strong to pull the air up that tube, so that it then burns the gases completely. Was that when you have paper that gets sucked up and blocks the exit part of the chimney that goes out the side, it can't breathe correctly. And so that's what had happened. So with this particular stove, and probably with any rocket mass heater, you probably want to actually really severely limit the amount of paper you use, because it's so light and airy that if you have a good enough pull, a good enough draft, it'll suck things up the chimney. Hey, Wholesome Roots, how are you? Sunny DIY, Christy Betts. And so it's hard when I see we're so close to having things so cozy to leave. And as my husband would say, I'm probably just looking for excuses to stay. And yeah, cutesy pie, I'm not sure how to say that. Just kindling with those things. Yeah, you totally just have to use kindling. Oh goodness. And so, especially with this happening, it scares me to leave home. I'm a homebody for a reason, and so to go to a new place, even just the trip is kind of scary to me right now. No animals, no wood stove there, and I'm such a prepper. I need instead of a bug out bag, I just need a bug out homestead. Our lips are twins. Oh, Willow Creek, why did you get hurt? Did you get bumped by something, or did you eat something? Because for me, it was my diet. Let's see. Gooseberry Homestead said, could you add some sort of grate to prevent paper from being sucked up? And said, not without affecting the actual draft itself. You can't. It just means you have to be really careful about what kind of fire starter you use. It may just clear up if you go somewhere else. My face might clear up. Yeah, Beth Grant DeRoot said, introverts have a harder time with change. I do, and sometimes I wonder if the reason that I'm introvert is because just as a kid, I really had to be so careful about allergies that it was always really scary to go somewhere new. It was terrifying. And when we were on the road and we had the RV, I kind of was taking my own home with me so I could stock things up. And I need to remember, it's only a 2-day drive. It's only a 2-day drive. It's only a 2-day drive. I can totally do it. Glenn Leslie said, bless you. I'm soon to be off the grid. Jesus is with us. Oh, that's exciting. I hope I can see that. Tom Brown said, flying or driving? We will be driving because John doesn't have a car down there. He is borrowing a car from a friend, and that car is on its last legs, and so John needs a car down there, or up over there anyway. Danny Bull said, how many hours do you have to drive to Oklahoma? It's a 24-hour drive if you drive straight. If you drive straight there, it's 24 straight hours, which is, last time we did it, John and I traded. We take 2-hour stints each, we trade off every 2 hours, and so we made it actually in 24 hours. But for me, taking care of kids and having to do videos and that kind of thing, most likely it'll probably take me 3 days. That's my guess. Valtrex can make those types of sores go away. That'd be nice. So this, everybody keeps asking about my mouth. So this, it is a herpes type of sore, but I get it when I eat rice. This is, or peanut butter. I'm quite allergic to rice and peanut butter, and so this is what I get when I go out of my diet. Sherry Soap said, you need Deep South Homestead to send you some fat pine lighter. Yes, I have used their fat pine lighter. It is fantastic. Darwin from the homestead, or Darwin from the Honeydew Carpenter is actually building a press so that you can use sawdust and wax to make your own fire starter that won't go up the chimney. He's making it specifically for the stove. And that'll be exciting because then we could make our own. Let's see. Andy's Pantry said, I came in late. Where are you leaving off to? So that would be Tulsa. John is in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Oh, how fun. Tommy Cobbler said, we're in Oklahoma near Tulsa, so we'll be super close. Larry Fisher said, maybe have Honeydew Carpenter put a clean out so you don't have to take it apart. Yes, one of the reasons we took it apart this time was we wanted to look at the heat riser. So everybody said that you can't have a heat riser made out of aircrete, but he made it and it totally worked. But we wanted to be able to document that it had worked, so that's the reason we took it apart. And what happened was that the caulk that we used to, because he made it out of coffee cans in the aircrete. I mean, it was amazing, blow your mind, amazing. But the caulk we used on it cemented down so hard that it stayed together until at one point I just tipped it the wrong way when I picked it up, and the caulk let go. All of a sudden the caulk let go. It had held together for 2 days, and yet when I picked it up the caulk let go, and so it broke the heat riser. So it's not a big deal to take it apart at all. In fact, I'm the one that took it apart and put it back together just now, and it's super easy to clean out. And it doesn't smoke in that area, so he designed it really well, and it is easy to clean out. The only reason we took it apart the way we did was we were trying to figure out why it had stopped working, and there was this much paper that had been sucked through into the bottom that was partially burnt. And my opinion is that with any type of new prototype like this, you really need to be able to burn it for a couple months in the situation it's intended to be used in order to be able to show what works on it, what could be better, or even just to show that it's perfect. I think you need a good couple of months of normal everyday use in order to be able to show that. Let's see, Tom Brown said, get moving. Get moving, like get packing? Is that what you're saying? Really all we have left to do is I need to put things into plastic boxes and put lids on so the mice aren't getting into them while we're gone. The only thing we're taking is kitchen supplies and a few changes of clothes and my spinning wheel. That's all we're taking. Larry Fisher said should have a couple clean outs in the bench also. Yes, initially he had planned to do that, and we were working on the design, but we were just playing to see if the bench would heat up first. And so now that we see that the bench is not heating up correctly, now is when we look at it and we're like, okay, we're going to wait. Let's put the correct heat riser in, make sure it's working efficiently, and then we'll go from there. No budget homesteader said just get one of the girls to drive. That would be awesome, especially in some of those mountainous Colorado areas, right? Beth Grant DeRue said, do you think winter in the Pacific Northwest is harder on you, and that being in a sunnier place would be healthier? We are not in the Pacific Northwest. We are in the Northwest non-Pacific area. We are high desert mountain, very, very bright area of southeast Idaho. We are very bright, very high altitude, very cold, and very desert. So that's where we are. I love our winters here. John doesn't. I would not love our winters here if I didn't have a wood stove. I'm very uncomfortable with not having a wood stove because that's how I feel like you're safest and warmest and healthiest. So that's just me. Sherry Soap said, what will the girls do about school? When I get to Oklahoma, I am going to apply for a job that someone suggested, and I will be working from home. And so I'm hoping to homeschool the girls when we get there. And I'm hoping it's a really happy situation and not stressful. And hopefully John gets through school quickly and we can kind of iron out plans a little bit better and know if we're coming back to Idaho or know if we're selling our place here in Idaho. Living there for 6 months, I think, will give us a better idea of where we want to be. But yeah, our transition has been a long time. Thank you, Angie's Pantry. Greenhorn Acre said just a visit or a lengthy stay. So John finishes school in May or June is what we're anticipating. And at that point, if he has a job offer somewhere, that's where we'll go. And everything is just a little bit up in the air right now until we get there. Willow Creek Homestead said, I have baby bunnies escaping the chicken wire enclosure. Gotta run and get creative. See you, Trish. Tom Brown said, I used to deliver furniture to Tulsa. Nice area. It is a beautiful area. We were there for a total, how many weeks were we there? I think we were there for a total of like 3 weeks. In 1 week in fall and then 2 weeks in early spring. Ann Finster said maybe add an external sleeve for moving it. For moving what? Twin Haven Homestead said, are you going to be homeschooling the girls when you go? Maybe you could just stay till after the holidays. What do you mean? Are you going to homeschool the girls when you go? Maybe you could just stay till after the holidays. Stay here in Idaho until after the holidays, or stay in Oklahoma till after the holidays? Which one? Hello from Colorado. Tom Brown said weather can get bad quick. That's what John has said. He said it's actually cold there, and since he's using propane, he's having a hard time staying warm. So that really bothers me, because here I'm super warm. I have wood heat, and we have a couple years worth, maybe 3 years worth of dry wood. I feel a little bit uneasy about going to Oklahoma just so we can be cold and wet from propane heat. So, Three Little Goats said moving is hard, but at least everyone will be together. I agree. The Havmore Farm said desert. Desert is the word. That is true. Hey, Doug and Stacy. How are ya? I am actually not sure how... Oh my goodness. Hey, Bee Lady Apiri. It's not that I'm not seeing that you guys are talking. I didn't realize how far ahead my conversation was. Judy Small said, just let you know there's a large amount of homesteads. Not that you want to change your situation, but here in East Tennessee. I've always thought Tennessee would be beautiful. Hey, Danny Bull. How are you? Bee Lady Apiri. We are headed for John in Oklahoma. Sooner than I hoped. Later than I hoped. I just don't like change. Thanks, Gooseberry Homestead. Oscar with Duck and Stacy said, Judy, why would she pass up Missouri? Actually, John really likes Missouri. We thought Missouri was absolutely beautiful. We just have to get John through school first. Hey, Stephen Bradley. Aim High said, I missed something. Why are you leaving? So John is in Tulsa, Oklahoma for school. He has been for the last 3 months. And we are going to stay with him, and hopefully he will be graduated in May or June. And that's why we're going to Oklahoma. Ann Pfister said, a sleeve for moving the riser. I think what he's actually planning on, Anne, is to have it be one piece this time. I don't know if he's going to use the coffee cans again. A sleeve would be a fantastic idea for sure. But I think if he put a sleeve on, he might as well just have one solid piece of heat riser. It was just that the coffee cans were the perfect size, and so he used the coffee cans, and then we just put sealant between the coffee cans so they'd stay together. We just didn't realize how hardcore that sealant was. It's full-on concrete when it cures, and what had happened was that it was just that the coffee cans came apart. At one point, there was just too much pressure. Greenhorn Acres said, food suggestion for the family in Tulsa, Rio at 2120 South Sheridan Road. Mexican food, but has cool different rooms to eat, and that is cool. Eileen Chaffee says, hello from Kansas. Hello. Oscar with Doug and Stacy, live the adventure, LOL. Hopeful Homesteader said, good luck with everything. I hope it all works out. By the way, do you still have the spinning kits left? I really want to order one from you. They sound like a very nice variety of fibers. I think I've actually sold out of them. I need to go get some more parts. I've actually taken quite a bit of my Etsy stuff down. I had just put it up, but with the stove not working the way it was supposed to, I was getting too much smoke in the house, and I was worried it was going to absorb into the fibers and make the fibers smell like smoke. So a lot of my actual handmade stuff I took down until we can figure out the smoke situation, so I'm not just ruining fabric and fibers. Bee Lady April, Julie, you and girls going to meet hubby? Yes, we're heading to Tulsa to see John. Judy Small said, Barnum property and all of it is under $80,000. Sounds like a lot of money, but for starting out, I don't know. Tell me about Missouri. Okay, the Have More Farm said, are we leaving today? Oh, heavens no. I have to get the P.O. box figured out and get that forwarded. I have to get everything packaged up so that we don't have a problem with mice getting into it. We have to get the car serviced before we leave. Have to say goodbye to friends and family. We have a few days left, but just within the last couple days when the stove didn't work, it just meant that we're concerned about using the little Yukon stove when it gets really bitter cold here. The rocket mass heater was kind of necessary for our very extreme winters here. We get negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit. When I was a kid and when I was 17, we had a winter that was negative 45 degrees Fahrenheit. And so as great as the Yukon stove was, that little army stove we were using, I was really concerned about it not staying warm enough in here at night when we'd have to let this fire go out. So we really needed the rocket mass heater to work in order for us to stay longer. And so since the bench isn't working, which is the part of it you need to be able to have those long overnight heat temperatures stay up, we can't stay. We need to get across mountains and things like that before the roads get too bad. So I'm assuming we'll be gone in a week. Utter Charms Farm, hello. Missouri, okay, Off Grid with Doug and Stacy said Missouri is homestead friendly and where we live is no building codes and great for homeschooling, and land is cheap and so are taxes. Judy Small said, wherever you end up, family is everything. You guys have been through so much and I've watched you for a very long time. Well, you know, sometimes you just hit those years where it feels like everything is transition, and it just never lets up. And we're all healthy and happy and together still. So I do long for some permanence. I love permanence, and I love a garden, and I love having my animals. And so I'd really like to know that we'd be staying somewhere for a while. But at this point, we just don't have that luxury. So Anna Lopez said, are those cold sores? These are from eating rice because I'm not in my home base right now as much as I need to be to cook for myself. Yes, everybody's saying that. So Angie's Pantry said, who's taking care of the goats? So the renter has been taking the goats since we left last August. And so she's had them for over a year now, 14 months. And so the renter will still have the goats. Ann P says, hi from Ontario, love your videos. Thank you so much. Off Grid with Doug and Stacy, lots of rain in Missouri for rain collection. The Needy Homesteader said, I'm a little late to this and I'm not quite sure what's going on, but if you're moving for work, you might consider Nebraska. We have some of the lowest unemployment in the country. That is awesome. But John does not want anywhere cold. The whole reason he's down in Oklahoma is that he does not want to live somewhere cold. It's the main reason why we went on our big trip was for John to be able to experience other climates, to see if we wanted to live somewhere else. He suffers in the cold. Danny Bull said, I was curious, were you born in Idaho or did you just grow up in another state? I was born in Idaho and I have lived in Wyoming and Utah. But it's Idaho, Wyoming, or Utah. I am very much a Western girl. Okay, off grid with Doug and Stacy. Back to the gate and stay tuned for the video. Call you later, Miss Dirt. Thanks, Doug. See ya. The Bee Lady Apiary said, Julie, are you and the girls driving? Is John picking you up? The girls and I are driving. John has offered to come and get us, bring a rental car, and then drive back with us. He has offered. But we had him fly in, what was it, a month ago? 6 weeks ago? A month ago, I think. He flew in a month ago, and so we've kind of shot our travel expenditures for now. It would cost so much less for me to just drive straight through. Although it would make it a fun trip. That is true. It would make it a fun trip, and it would be really nice to have him with us. But we're kind of trying to keep expenses down. So far, he is in school without us having any student debt, which is fantastic. And we're really aiming for that. We're working for that. And so in order to keep that up, we need to just kind of watch our expenses a bit. Timothy Ryerson said, is your heart still in it like it was at the beginning? The tiny house? Oh, so much. I adore this little cabin. I absolutely adore it. I don't know how long-term it could be with my whole family in here, just because my needs and desires are not the only ones in the family. I've got 3 other people in it, and as much as I love the tiny house, I don't think my family loves it as much. And so my heart is in it just as much. I adore it. I love being off-grid, but I have to take the rest of my family's needs into consideration too. Tommy Cobbler said, well, if you'd like some like-minded friends, you're welcome to hit us up when you get there. Thank you so much. I'm sure we will. Kirk Engnath said, no one really enjoys change because we all get used to things the way they are. Change can actually bring on better things in your life, and you'll wonder what took you so long to make the change. Well, I sure hope so. I hope that's what happens. Mr. Rain made it. It has been a long time. How are you? How is Heidi? Margarita Badziva said, hello from Russian girl from Washington State, dreaming to have my own homestead one day. God bless you and have a safe trip. Thank you. Jennifer Russell made it. Hello. Julian Leonard Towit said, good luck to you and your family. Mr. Rain said, hi, Jennifer. Christatic. Ooh, your name is good. Christatic Lucero. Hello, I wanted to wish you and your family the best of luck. Thank you. Gooseberry Homestead said, yes, uncertainty can be stressful. I have been moving every couple years, give or take, for the last 18 years. I'm ready to buy some land and get my gooseberries into the ground. Military wife here. You know, I've thought that recently with all the moving we have done. I have to take my hat off to military wives and military kids, because it is, I feel like it's a little bit emotionally, I don't know, the uncertainty level of always moving that much, I find it difficult, and so I don't know how you guys do it. My hat is off to you for keeping hearth and home together in those kind of situations. Anna Lopez said, you moving on, don't worry, it will go well, God willing, and all that matters is that you stay together. That's right. Big Hat said, sorry you're moving. We recently moved and are restarting our homestead. Best of luck. Wholesome Root said, move to Georgia. It's hot here. We loved Georgia. It was so much less hot than Florida. We thought it was like a cool breeze. Have More Farm said she was born in Idaho, but in the wrong century, probably. Judy Small said, you should try some lysine. It totally may shorten the life of those. My daughter gets some. Yeah, my girls get them too when they get into rice. Coupon Gal said, will you be coming back? Yes, we'll be coming back to set up water in the spring. And we may be listing the homestead at that point if John is unwilling to be here in the winters and he has a job elsewhere. There's no point in having 2 homesteads. So if that's what ends up happening, we would be listing in the spring, and we would have to come back in order to get the house in order to sell it. Asbury Homestead said, "Are you going to back to homes? Are you going to be homeschooling to finish the year?" Yes. Christy Bett said, "The cold really affects me now, makes pain worse." I'm sorry. Utter Charms Farm said, "I don't blame him. I'm not a fan of the cold either." Hey, 2 Family Homestead. Avon Leanne made it. Hello. What is going on? So we needed a better wood stove in order to make it through our harshest weather here, which is coming on quickly. And so that's the reason we had the big push for the rocket mass heater, but it's not ready yet. Well, the stove itself works just fine, but we haven't been able to figure out how to make it work with the bench. And so that would have extended our stay a bit, you know, having the rocket mass heater. But now we don't have the time to wait for it to work. So we're getting ready to go to Oklahoma. Mr. Rain said, "Kind of a big family for a little space." I don't know. I think more than anything, it is like a lifestyle preference. I prefer not to have a lot of stuff and not to have a lot of space to take care of because I'd rather be outside. And John doesn't feel that way, neither does the girls. So it's more, I think, about an emotional thing than actual space that's necessary. So it's my lifestyle of choice, but not necessarily my kids. Bee Lady Apiary, Julie, so you are leaving your little cabin. Yes, it will stay here. Christatic Lucero said, "I live in Colorado. Winters are cold." Yes, very cold in Colorado. Big Hat said, "2 tiny houses, one for you and him, one for the girls," right? Oh, there's Stephanie Jackson. She's talking to me about the well. So we need to do one last video about our well that has worked so well for us. We have a hand pump off of our actual electric well. So the electric pump goes to the big house that we used to live in, and the hand pump is for us to use off the well. And we've been using it as our main source of water since we've been here, and I'm trying to get a deal worked with the lady that makes them to be able to get a shippable well pump, hand pump for people who are preppers. So she's trying to get a hold of me right now. Sissy Foster said, "Wherever you and your family settle, I'm sure I'll be very happy to be together again." Yes, it will be nice to be together. Jason Bush said, "Hello from Pennsylvania." Avalion said, "Julianne, where are you going? Just now getting on here." Hello, everyone, by the way. Wholesome Root said, "I hear you about change being hard." Yes. Bye, Aim High. Greenhorn Acre said, "When you get settled in the forever spot, you can get a small shed and finish it out as a workspace for you where you can have a she cave." Right? Mr. Rain said, "Heidi is busier than a one-armed man." Okay, so how far away am I? Because it seems that now my questions are being answered. And how far away am I? Hopefully Homesteader said, "I live in Florida. There's a lot of fun things to do here, but it's very humid and hot, and our soil isn't the best. But there are always ways around it. I moved here from Ohio, so it's been a big change." We were in Florida for 2 months, maybe 2.5 months, in the dead of winter, and it was beautiful, fantastic, and I would struggle living there. I love seasons. Jennifer Russell said, "Maybe keep the little house for a mom room and seek a home for the fam." Well, that's the situation we already live in, is that we have our big house just over there across the ditch that we own and that we're renting out. And the thing is, I don't like to clean, and I don't like to have that big of a house, and we have white carpets and so much space, and I have a hard time keeping up with the garden and a house that big. So John would have to be the one to keep things clean and keep things vacuumed in there if we wanted to have the big house again. Not Normal Tree said, "New starts are kind of fun because there's no clutter, and I've not said anything annoying in my new ward." That is the trick, isn't it? Oh. Evan Leanne said, thanks for the shout out to us military families. It's very hard. I can't even imagine. One of my best friends here that does goats with us, she's a military wife, and they've been here for, I think, 4 years now, like, which is super long for them. And her husband is gone a lot. In order for them to be stationary, he comes back and forth rather than them following him at this point. And I just don't know how she does it. She just amazes me. Let's see. Wow, you guys have such good conversations right now. Angie's Pantry said, I was just down there for almost a month taking care of my father. I agree. Unless you plant and raise beds, it's very hard to grow in Florida. Judy Small is getting ready to make a big jump to get onto a homestead. Tommy Cobbler said, what is he going to school for? Cybersecurity and app development. Right? Evan said, I see the stress in your poor mouth, Julie. Yes, I'm in pain. Christy Bett said, LOL, every time you say Oklahoma, the movie music pops in my head. Oklahoma as the wind comes. Da 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 da. Yeah, I love that. I love that movie too. Becky0512 says, are you still going to do videos once you move? I would assume so, because it's our primary source of income right now. And I will be transitioning it to probably small backyard farmsteading, homesteading, the little house that we'll be in. We do have permission to have the small livestock that we want to have. And so we'll see how that goes. I think, unfortunately, I'm just really tired right now and trying to brainstorm what I'm going to make videos about and trying to homeschool the girls again and get the house set up so that it's cute sounds really exhausting to me. And it shouldn't sound exhausting. I mean, we're going to be on grid again. I won't have as much water to haul. I won't have a wood stove to keep up. But I love doing those things. And so it's like, yeah, they'll cut back on what I'm doing, but there are things that I love to do, and so I'm struggling with not having those things in my life. Like right now, the girls are in school all the time, so I'm the one hauling water and chopping and hauling wood and doing all those things, even with the girls not here, and I love it. It's the motion in the day that makes my life happy, and I'm afraid to go back on grid. Sleeping the last 3 nights at my mom's, I don't sleep as well. I sleep so much better here without the electricity, with all the lights off, and with the quiet and the dry heat of the wood stove and everything. And I don't sleep well when there's so much electricity around and lights and noise and heat that turns on and off. I'm a little scared about it because things have been so good here. We've slept so well. We've been super healthy. I think I've missed comments again. The Bee Lady Apiary said, Julie, choose which rooms your family can use and close other doors. We used to actually have quite a few rooms empty in the house. And somehow magically they filled up. Do you know what I mean? When we first moved there, for the first 2 years, we didn't even use the basement except for the as a food pantry and laundry room. We didn't have anything else downstairs. We didn't need it. And it was pretty easy when we had less stuff. So I take it what you're saying, and I think it's true. We could have just not used it as much. The Nifty Thrifty Homestead said, definitely do a meet and greet. You will have more friends here in Oklahoma than you planned on, LOL. Well, we're really hoping to get into the homeschool groups there. And I'm really hoping that I'm not spending as much time working. For anybody who doesn't YouTube, there may not be an understanding of how many hours go into filming and then editing and then managing your videos. It is a lot of hours, and I'm hoping that I'll actually work a lot fewer hours with the job that I'm hoping to get there. And they'll have more time to go play with the girls and go to museums and stuff like that, which we don't really have here in this area in Idaho. We don't have museums and things like that. So, Twin Haven Homestead said, would it be easier to change the flooring to wood or tile? We could do that, and if we do stay in the house, we definitely will, because, yeah, white carpet on a farm, that's a brilliant idea, Julie. My realtor actually sat. We had 3 carpet swatches that were available to us because we got to pick the carpet in our house. They totally stripped the house and redid everything because it had been abandoned for 15 years. So when the contractor, the guy that was selling it to us, had us pick our carpet, I picked the lightest one. Stupid. And my realtor actually sat on it to try and keep me from remembering that that was the one that I wanted. When I picked it, she's like, oh, no, you don't want that. And then she sat on it later, hoping I wouldn't notice, so that I picked one of the other 2 that were darker. And I knew she was sitting on it. And I picked it anyway, and she knew better. And so now here I am, a homesteader with white carpets. I mean, yeah. I told you, not far from Yellowstone. Yes, we're very close to Yellowstone. Bye, Angie's Pantry. Stephen Bradley said, I love that little tiny house of yours. So do I. I absolutely love it. Let's see. Christy Betts said, the older I get, the more I feel things are a burden, but animals and growing things make me happy. Isn't that the truth? I gotta open the window. That rocket stove is working overtime, so I gotta open the window a bit. By the way, yes, it's working. The heat riser is not nearly as nice as the one that Darwin made earlier, but it is working now. It's been several hours since I started it. We finally have a good bed of coals, and it is working overtime. B-Lady A period. Julie, you have been through so much during the years. I pray this will all work out for you. Isn't that something? We were doing just fine. And then, so do you guys realize it has been 2 years this month since John hurt his back? So it's really only been 2 years. And now that I say it, that actually feels like a really long time. Before that, we were kind of doing what we wanted to. But the thing is, I mean, his back was always in so much pain. It's the reason why we did the YouTube channel, was I was really, really hoping that we could get it done before his back was irreparably damaged. And so 2 years, that's a long time. We'll be in Oklahoma for a few months. Masami Schultz said you could have a separate off-grid shed or cabin on your property. I could, and my kids and my husband would come out and sleep with me and come out for meals. And then I don't know what the point would be of having the big house, because my kids and my husband follow me everywhere. And so what would be the point of then having the big house? They would just come and live with me in the little house. They'd never even go over there. Hello, Deborah McMaster from England. How fun. Becky0512 said, well, sure hope you don't stop YouTube. Well, I don't want to stop YouTube, but I would really like to cut back on the number of videos that I make. Daily videos are exhausting. Have More Farm said, white carpet, sharp as a bowling ball. I know, right? The Bee Lady April said, Julie, is the weather in Oklahoma okay for John? He's actually really cold right now because he's using propane heat and it's quite moist in the house. So we're probably warmer than he is right now. Not Normal Tree said, I have moved 24 times. Find another passion that excites you for the time being and you'll do fine emotionally. Thanks. Finky337 said, I like your hat. This was made by Lori Family Homestead, L-A. No, I get it wrong. L-O-U-R-I-E, Lori Family Homestead. Something you might consider for an at-home business is essential oils. My wife does pretty good at it. It starts kind of small but picks up over time, and it also gives you access to a lot of home remedies. That's cool. Willow Creek is back. Hello. I have no idea. Oh my goodness, I finally reached the end of the comments. It's like a miracle. Okay, well, that's where it stands. Now that the rocket mass heater is actually heating, which it has since I got on, it started for the last couple hours. It finally started doing what it's supposed to with the different heat risers. So I'm going to go down and put on another log before it decides to burn out. Hopefully, hopefully Homesteader said, get yourself some chickens if you can and rabbits. Just keep spinning and stay true to yourself and you'll make it. Oh, thank you. Okay, Willow Creek Homestead said, I'm back and you're going to get off. LOL, that's how it goes, right? Keep chatting. LOL. Oh my goodness. Not Normal Tree said, grow medicinal pot for income. In Oklahoma? Is that legal? Avon Leanne said, I say spin, spin, spin. Would love a bunch of videos on that. Well, and here's the thing. I find that once my space is really beautiful, I do like to do a lot of spinning and doing a lot of videos, as long as the surroundings are really nice. But it takes a little bit of time and not an insignificant amount of money to get things set up so that they look nice in a tiny house. Bye, Mr. Rain. And so when we get to the tiny house, first off, John's been living there for 3-4 months now. So it's kind of his space, and I kind of have to respect that. And then once I can get in and start moving things and changing things, it takes a little time, and it always takes it out of me to try and film when things look crappy. Like the tin in here. See the tin? Every time you stand in front of the tin, it bounces back the light into the camera, and it looks like crap. Hard to find a corner in our house that doesn't look like crap when you're filming it. Willow Creek Homestead says she wants to learn how to spin. Well, you should come up and we'll teach you. When you come up to get Durango. Christatic Lucero said everything will be okay. Everything always gets better. It always does. Again, I wish you and your family well. Thanks, guys. Okay, I'm going to get off, and hopefully everybody understood everything I said about the rocket mass heater and about what we're doing. And Debbie Scott said, you're my favorite YouTuber. We'll miss you working on your tiny house. I'll miss working on my tiny house. If only I could suck my husband over here from Oklahoma. But it would be the wrong time of year for him just as we get into the cold. And he wouldn't be able to finish school. That's what I keep thinking, though. If only the pull was strong enough and there was something for him to do here so that I could finish it. But off-gridding really isn't his thing. I mean, he has to have a regular shower. I like using our little shower that we've invented, but it's not comfortable and happy for him, and so we're just going to punt. We're going to punt and do it a different way. So that's what we're looking at. Oh, Willow Creek, you're awesome. Debbie, you can come over to my channel and let me be your favorite substitute. Haha. Mostly kidding. You're awesome, Trish. Oh, ack. Rocket Mass Heater, I missed it. Oh, well, I can rewind. That's right. Okay. Leave quick, girl. It will hurt less. I don't know about that. Okay, guys. I love you. We'll talk to you later.